Today we dive into one of the most significant grassroots movements shaping political discourse: the 50,501 protests. This nationwide campaign emerged in direct response to the autocratic actions of President Donald Trump during his second term. Across all 50 states, citizens have taken to the streets in a powerful display of defiance against policies they view as deeply corrupt and dangerous. From sweeping cuts in social programs to the hostile power grab that benefits the ultra-wealthy, these protests represent a unification of ordinary Americans standing up for the Constitution, democracy, and basic rights. The 50501 movement, short for 50 protests, 50 states, one movement, started as an online conversation on Reddit and rapidly evolved into a nationwide force. Born out of outrage at the second Trump presidency, the movement capitalizes on social media to mobilize communities traditionally overlooked by the political elite. The protesters demand accountability, transparency, and a return to democratic norms while exposing the dangerous alliances forged between Trump and billionaire influencers like Elon Musk. With grassroots organizers coordinating events from state capitals to city streets, the 50,501 protests have quickly become a symbol of resistance against governmental overreach and betrayals of public trust. Across the country, from bustling urban centers to quiet small towns, the spirit of grassroots activism has ignited on an unprecedented scale. Major demonstrations on days like Hands Off have drawn millions of participants, with local organizers reporting passionate turnouts in cities such as Atlanta, San Francisco, and Columbus. Activists have shared moving stories, a veteran in Raleigh expressing his fear for Social Security, and a high school student in Columbus inspired by a historic rally at the State House. These events are not only about numbers, they're about communities standing together to reclaim their government for the people. Detailed accounts from local protests reveal personal sacrifices, resilient hope, and an unwavering commitment to resist policies perceived as oppressive and dangerous. At the heart of the protests is the figure of Donald Trump, cast overwhelmingly as the villain who has subverted the very foundations of American democracy. Protesters decry his authoritarian style, citing his exploitation of executive power, disregard for the rule of law, and policies that have favored the rich at the expense of everyday citizens. His close association with figures like Elon Musk, who leads the controversial Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, amplifies public outrage. Demonstrators chant slogans such as "No Kings on America" and "Hands Off Our Rights," painting a vivid picture of a regime that operates like a modern-day oligarchy. This narrative has resonated with millions who view Trump's actions not as bold leadership but as a betrayal of the nation's core democratic ideals. The ripple effects of the 50,501 protests are not confined to the United States. From London and Paris to Berlin and beyond, international observers are taking note of the dramatic scale and fervor of these demonstrations. In many cities, solidarity rallies echo the demands for democratic accountability and the defense of basic rights. Critics abroad condemn Trump's policies as harmful not only to American society but also to global stability, especially given the implications for international trade, environmental regulation, and human rights. This global reaction reinforces that when a government sacrifices the welfare of its citizens for the benefit of a select few, it undermines its legitimacy at home and abroad. The protests have become a beacon of resistance and hope, inspiring movements around the world to demand accountable governance and respect for human dignity. In conclusion, the 50,501 protests represent a transformative moment in American politics, a grassroots uprising against the corruption and authoritarianism that many believe is steering the nation away from its democratic ideals. As local stories intertwine with national outrage and international solidarity, it is clear that the resistance is driven by people unwilling to accept a government that puts the interests of the elite above the common citizen. Now is the time for sustained action. We encourage you to stay informed, share these stories, and participate in local civic activities. Remember, your voice matters, and together, we can shape a future that honors our fundamental rights and democratic values.